Last week, we saw numbers showing clearly that the economy is crashing, with GDP growing and plunging and all over the place. Nobody knows what's happening, especially Biden. But GDP growth was plunging by more than 50% in the first quarter this year. Nobody's seen anything like that for a long time. We now have a thing called stagflation. Does anyone know what that means? It's not good. It's worse than deflation, and it's worse than inflation. Stagflation is the worst, and that's what we're in right now, which spells the death of the American dream, and that doesn't even include some of the horrible numbers we're seeing flowing in from poor and crime-ridden countries right across our southern border. They're coming in by the millions. That's why this November, the people of Michigan are going to tell crooked Joe Biden, Biden, you're fired. Get out of here. The worst president in our history. There's never been anybody like him. In the past 3 years, the average Michigan family has lost $20,000 or $30,000. Think of this, $20,000 to $30,000 thanks to the Biden inflation tax. We have a new term. It's called a new tax. It's called inflation tax. We call it the Biden inflation tax. That's what's happened, record kinds of inflation. And his price hikes are continuing to drain nearly $1,000 from the a typical family each month loses $1,000 on other different taxes. That's what he's done to you. And by the way, for the auto workers, we'll talk about it later. Your cars are all going to be made in China. Congratulations. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Chicken is up 24%, baby food is up 30%, eggs are up 50%, gasoline is up 54%, airfares are up 33%, and the 30-year mortgage rate just hit 7.6%. When I left, it was 2.6%. We had no inflation. Everything was so good. Bidenomics is flat-out economic warfare and welfare on the American middle class and low-income people. It's a disaster. If Joe Biden wins this election, the middle class loses. But if Trump wins, the middle class wins. People of low income will start their journey toward the American dream. Michigan wins and America wins. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Just days ago, Crooked Joe vowed to impose the largest tax in the history of America. It's going to be the biggest tax hike in the history of America. Biden said the Trump tax cuts are, quote, going to expire, and I'm not going to renew them if I'm reelected. He had no idea what the hell he was saying, so it doesn't really matter. That means under Biden, a single individual earning $75,000 a year will see an almost $2,000 tax hike, and a family of four earning $165,000, think of this, will see close to $3,000 in tax hikes over and above what you're paying right now. But instead of a Biden middle-class tax increase, I will deliver a Trump middle-class tax cut, the likes of which you've never seen before. And I already gave you the largest tax cut in the history of our country, larger than the Reagan tax cuts many years ago. You got the largest tax cuts in history. On day one, we will throw out Biden.